Hey, Ghana here, if the economy no kill you, then something else they kill you. Like a frustrated medical officer giving you wrong prescription. What am I talking about? Our own Koda, a Takrade-based gospel musician, just passed away. He was seen in a video lamenting about how he was put on wrong prescription for 6 to 8 months. Now, what we are asking on Sauce and Pepper is, who does the final responsibility lie on? On the doctor or the patient? Because right now, the doctors and the churn out. This is Sauce and Pepper. Don't go anywhere.
I've known since I was in tech that I'm not supposed to touch buffing. And so I was like, but the people, why they won't kill me or something like that. You get it? Because I'm talking about taking the thing for over 6, getting to 8 months of ingesting this thing on a daily basis. Can you imagine? So we scheduled some form of a review or checkup with the doctor. I went over. I get a little emotional when I talk about this thing. Like, forgive me. So we scheduled a checkup with the doctor, and I told the doctor that, but why am I being given medication that contains sulfur if I'm just a speedy? Because you know that we are not supposed to be taking these things, and you guys are aware about these things. To cut a long story short, all they said was, "Oh, sorry, oh."
Say, before we look at other past cases of medical negligence, there are netizens who are of the opinion that Koda didn't take responsibility of his health enough, and that culture of reading and knowing side effects of medicine lacks amongst us as a people. Do you agree with that assertion?
Well, first of all, may his soul rest in peace. He was a great asset to the music industry.
I didn't know he was the one who didn't Kwabodo until.
Oh yeah, that was how I got to know Koda. That song. Okay. That song was an indirect to my church. My church was part of that, so. Oh wow. I got the message like wow. The part that says, is it church or it's a business? Right. That's how I got to know Koda. But he has some really good songs that is always about the salvation and like his songs. So yes, we've lost a good one for the industry.
But you agree he didn't take his responsibility?
But then to your question, it's yes and no. Yes and no, because if me as the patient who has not been to medical school for the minimum year, which is 6 years, because we have doctors who have done 10 years, 15 years, based on their specialty, must be the one taking responsibility of side effects of drugs I'm taking, then why the hell are they there? Do you get it? Okay. The conflict of take control of your of your health, which I agree, as an individual, you put yourself first in every situation. Right. But say he was unconscious and he had been taken to the hospital, and his wife said, please note, my spouse has this deficiency. Normally when you are on admission, the medicines they write and all that, you are not in control of it. So they tell you, we'll do this. By the time you see, they are putting you on drip. They've injected one into the water, is flowing to your skin. They're giving you injections. He wouldn't have been able to do the all side effects that they are saying. Right. Do you get it?
Yes, I do.
So yes, when you are privileged to get the chance that they give you medicines you are taking home, ask questions. Ask as many questions as you can. Read as much as you can. That leaflet they put in the book, like 70% of the time, we just take it out and we throw it out.
And what happens to those who can't read?
That is why I'm saying yes and no. Okay. Because if I agree to totally that take responsibility, read all that, what happens to your mother and you, the one saying Koda should have read and known? You, the one, your mother in the village, will she read and know? She can't read and know.
Right.
How many of our generations, our parents are literate, or our grandparents? So yes, the responsibility goes back to the medical professional. he or she is the one responsible. I have blindly put my faith in you. They are only taking, like, exonerated if I did not declare my medical condition. And if you are like me, you have medical history, when you go run it out. I remember when I was in secondary school and I first got my diagnosis as sickle cell, the nurse, she gave me a book.
Oh, okay.
I never kept that book, but she gave me a book. She says every single time you get a medicine or something happens to you and you are treated, write it. Okay. What happened, how you felt after the medicine, so that God forbid if you are not able to, like, something happens to you, you're not able to. Now my husband does that for me. He's
you have a history, you know.
He's the one who runs a medical history from when I get to the hospital. Right. But it's a good habit to have. When Koda's thing happened, I didn't even know. Unfortunately, he had to pass before we hear that there's something called G6PD deficiency. I didn't know about that enzyme, what it means.
Right.
So
we will come to the G6PD on its own and delve well into it. And also, even listening to your submission, it then begs the question: what kind of doctors are we churning out as a people? But hold that thought, Mr. Quiz. I was asking, so for us to, people like Andy Dusty have come out to say that a nurse who was very lackadaisical at his job has caused his sister's death. Other people have come out. What is the root cause of this, and how do we move away from these medical negligence as a people and a nation?
Okay, so just like many other issues we have in this country, right, there are events that happen that get a lot of media attention, that draws our attention, or that reminds us that, my people, you still have this issue. So if it's not teachers strike, doctors there's
labor
once
arrest.
a while you have medical negligence cases, and it keeps coming. There was a time, I think about 2 years ago, where once it started, like just as this has started, you realize that in the next 3-4 weeks all stories will continue.
There was a time where it was maternal mortality. Terrible.
You know, so that tells you that there are huge underlying reasons why this is happening in Ghana, and we need to root it out. First of all, I'll look at the doctor-patient ratio in Ghana. The global standard, according to the World Health Organization, is supposed to be 2.5 medical practitioner to 1,000. So they define the medical practitioner as a nurse, a midwife, depending on the context, right? So if it's a maternity related thing, then the midwife so 2.5 midwives to 1,000. If it's a doctor, 2.5 to 1,000. So if you do the math, then that's about standard. 1 to 500 at least. What do you think the ratio in Ghana is?
Maybe 2.5 to, say, I know my country, so let's see, 1,005.
Okay.
5,000.
So it's 1 to 6,355.
Exactly.
So that is 2.5 to 3,000 something.
That's a huge
means
gap.
one doctor to 6,000 patients.
Yes, one doctor to 6,000.
And even that, averagely, Accra is better. Can you imagine the people in there?
So of course,
it's crazy.
When you put people under these kind of high pressure working environments where their work entails a lot of critical decision making, you will have issues. That doesn't excuse it, but I think we need to make their job easier. See, always someone's problem starts from someone's lack of effectiveness, starts from someone abandoning their roles. It all goes back to leadership again. Goes back to the people who run the system. You know, why do you put your doctors in this situation? Now, I'll find out as the discussion goes on. I'll find out what the ratio of a medical practitioner to patient is in the countries that our nurses are living in droves to.
Okay.
So their cases just get better and better, right? Because I'm sure the ratio is even better than ours as it is now. Yeah, this year alone, by July, about 6,000 or 4 to 6,000 nurses had left Ghana.
Right.
July.
Yeah, it's a jackpot season.
It was the first quarter, actually. First quarter of the year.
Yeah.
Close to 4,000 had left already. So by now, I don't know where it's getting.
Yeah, it could even get to 8,000.
Yeah, so then the situation is just getting worse and worse. So that's the first thing.
Right.
The second thing about the patient being aware of what is being administered to him or her could help to some extent, but there's the barrier of education, even not just literacy, education.
Yeah.
If you do not know that your condition stipulates that certain medicines are not administered to you, then you can't enforce it because you are not trained to know that, to have that knowledge. You get my point? Yeah. Until a doctor tells you, you go to the hospital, anything is given to you and you take it.
Yeah.
So that responsibility cannot be put. It's not something that can be extended to everybody.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that in itself is also not a solution. The third thing is what happens when negligence actually occurs and it leads to someone losing their lives. What do our legal system do, or what does our legal system do? What happens to the professional self-check? Because these practitioners have professional groups. There's the Medical Association, Midwifery and Nurses Association, and all of that. What sort of punishment is meted out to these people? Most of the time, I only hear when they are fighting for something. I only hear them fight for something.
That's
or
true.
I only hear them coming back. They are professionals when they feel that they've been wronged.
Yeah.
Like
and
the freshest case in my mind is when that nurse and doctor thing happened.
Nurse and doctor.
Yeah,
the Kumasi scandal.
The Kumasi scandal where the nurse called the young doctor
to come back
and told her off for a certain alleged
that was also a malpractice something
and all of that. Then the nurses association came and said, look, if the doctor doesn't apologize, then the medical association also came with all kinds of things. You know, those are the ones that are fresh in your mind. But when the case like what happened to in Rage, the maternity thing where a young lady died, and I'll go through that story if I have time.
Right.
We didn't really hear much from the medical association.
Yeah, I think
you know, so there's a lot of responsibility on what happens to further deter these cases of negligence. You know, we can go to some of the cases.
So before we go there, now we've heard the numbers, we've heard the ratio, doctor to patient, and it's bad, and you can clearly tell that there is a gap. I mean, so we would want to fill this gap. Now the question is, what doctors are we churning out? And these doctors, are we able to even churn out quality, good quality?
I
don't think the skill is in question. I think we train some of the best.
I don't think I was going to say no. That would be unfair. To say it's the type or quality of doctors we are training that's leading to this. Medical negligence and malpractice happens everywhere in the world. Literally watched a criminal ID story recently of a medical doctor, and he's a surgeon who has so many malpractice cases against him, and all he does is, of course, they have a medical indemnity insurance. So he's never bad. His license is not taken from him. It becomes a civil case. They pay, and he moves from one state to the other to continue practicing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's in the US. In the US, where we assume that these things are taken seriously. This is like a real case. There was the sad part of the boy. His life was cut short at age 21. The doctor, like, there was no need for a surgery. And he went on doing a surgery. And after the surgery, he deformed the guy. They literally had to take him off life support, like that bad. So it can't be the skill. And I know for a fact that Ghana has one of the best doctors in this country, or else they won't be poaching our doctors away the way they are poaching our doctors. Don't forget, our doctors and nurses are being poached. Like, if their quality was bad, they won't poach them. So it is not the quality. It is attention to details. So imagine, let me use my experience when I was growing up. When I didn't have health insurance, so I couldn't afford private hospital. My parents, we used to go to Achimota. Unfortunately, I don't know how come, but I always used to get my crisis when they were on strike. Our last experience, the reason why we said, Charlie, we need to make money and stop coming to this hospital, like afford a private hospital. I sat there, we got to hospital at 7 a.m. I was attended to at 3:40 p.m. And there was only one doctor seeing the entire OPD. Why? They're on strike. His colleagues didn't come. Anytime they're on strike, there are a few doctors who go against the whole multitude and still say there are patients that need to be saved. So they keep the hospital running. He's attending to 4,000 people that day. So imagine you go and you sit with him and you now have a condition that he now has to come and put into a system. Don't forget, they are under-resourced. If you're in a private hospital, they have a system where they can put your condition in and it will tell them what they can do for you. We have those systems. I attended a private hospital when my case was like even different. There was a consult, like they called, we were sitting there when 2 other people came and there was consultation before I was given a drug. You don't have that privilege in the government hospital. So they are under-resourced. He is overwhelmed. He has to also leave and go to locum. He won't survive. They are being paid a meager 8,000 to 10,000 cedis. What is that for the number of hours they do? They do 12-hour shifts. So of course it can't be the quality. It has to be resource and time and the stress. That's where it comes in, where you, the individual, as long as you're educated, take some part of it. Because our system in Ghana here, if you don't, Ghana will happen
to you.
Ghana will happen to you.
We will come. I will come back to you where you give us the G6PD background and what it is. But let's look at the other cases. And before you do that, please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe if you are enjoying this episode. This is Sauce and Pepper. Don't go anywhere. Still stay with us. So, as you were saying, the other cases.
So there's one particular one here that highlights what I was talking about. So this happened in 2015. And it was at a 37 military hospital. And the outcome was that the court fined the hospital, or what's the name, gave a judgment against the hospital to the tune of over 1 million Ghana cedis. Right? Over 1 million Ghana cedis. So let me just go through. So it says what? The 37 military hospital is to pay the family of 27-year-old woman or a 27-year-old woman an amount of 1 million Ghana cedis and over in damages. So the lady is Helena Bremanya Meche. She bled to death after doctors at the hospital went against her choice for a cesarean section in childbirth. It's not funny, but this is also personal. So I don't. Maybe
she wanted a cesarean.
Yes, a doctor must clarify this to us one way or the other. But doctors,
doctors
will
on
not,
this road.
Apparently, like doctors will not do elective CS easily. They want you to try giving birth naturally, and the CS becomes the second option. So the judge on the case ruled that the hospital was liable for the negligence of its staff. An amount of 1,075,000 Ghana cedis in damages has been slapped on the hospital. So the father and husband of the deceased are each to be paid 400,000 Ghana cedis for the loss of expectations of life, while 50,000 in damages of mental distress is also to be paid to them by the hospital. The baby Yaonyameche is to receive 100,000 Ghana cedis in damages for pain and suffering. And the general jurisdiction 6th division of the High Court ruled. And additionally, Yaonyameche, who suffered disfigurement on his right arm will be paid an extra 50,000 in damages, while 50,000 in damages will be paid to primary caregivers of the child, the report says. So it went on. So this is an example of where what I was asking for has literally worked. But after this case, there was another case at Ridge, right?
There are lots of cases in Ridge.
Yes, and there was another case at one of the hospitals. I'm not too clear, so I won't mention them. But literally, the baby came out,
dropped the baby on the head.
On the head, on the stairs.
It's a private hospital. They pay thousands of Ghana cedis to go. I'm sure when people know, they would say it. But it's crazy. And then so this is one that so this is what I'm saying, that all the solution came to payment of damages. This money didn't come from the hospital, it didn't come from the doctor. You know why? By law, they are mandated to have insurance. Mandated. Article 1021 Insurance Act. They are mandated to have how do you call it? Insurance. So the insurance is going to cover the money.
All of that.
And then the money doesn't really bring my partner back or my child back.
That the professional body
itself. And that's what I was saying. Even in the US, they hardly.
Right.
Until it's beyond reasonable, that means you were extremely careless, because in their work there is an amount of leeway
for negligence.
Not for negligence, for the mistakes do happen, or do you get it, in the heat of the moment. So unless we can really prove that this doctor, you should have, they hardly, all they do is they suspend you for some months, you go and then you come back. Don't forget that doctors train a long number of years. 1, 2, doctors are like the numbers we have. We can't just be suspending and be
the demand is crazy.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
So I think the medical body protects its own. They are one of the professional bodies that protects its own a lot. So at this point, what can we say? It's already happened. You pay damages, it goes. So if you are educated, try as much as possible. Yes, we have to trust the doctor, but ask questions, so that we don't take too much of the time.
Exactly. So let's, Mr. Quills, let's look at the other cases.
Let me talk about my case. More personal. So, like I've already mentioned on the show, so I have sickle cell. Right. One thing about our parents, and I don't really fault them, because they assume that when you are born, and I assume that as I've given birth to my daughter, the hospital I have given birth to has done the necessary checks, checked her conditions, things that might pop up that we should be worried about, and put us on the right path, right? Do you know that anytime you do a blood work, malaria, whatever it is, sickling comes. Sickling test is one of it will either come as positive or negative. Until they actually go and do a further test, then they know whether you're a carrier, whether you are sickle cell, or your SC or your SF. There's so many other types of sickle cell people don't know. People always assume it's sickle cell, like there's so many variants, right? My parents never, their doctor never, at no point asked them to say, okay, all your kids are testing sickle positive when we do their lab test. So let's do further check to make sure that they are okay. Until I was 13 years old, and I keep saying Agri Memorial did me a very, very huge favor. When I went to Agri, sickling is one of the tests Agri takes seriously. The moment you test positive, they do blood work for. When you test positive, you are all asked to come to the hall. There's a nurse, they educate you, they give you letters. You go to the main hospital, they do your lab, and then they check, they do electrophoresis. So they check which type you are. You a carrier? So when you come back and you're SS, then you're segregated again. So carriers, they tell you, okay, go ahead, do everything, but make sure at least take folic acid. Then I have to tell you, okay, we have to go and repeat the test with another institution. So my father came for me, we came to, they checked, it was, okay, now there's a problem, right? Because all my life, I have never taken folic acid. And I was fine. I used to get sick, but it wasn't that bad for my parents to be worried that I have sickle cell. Now I go secondary school and I'm hit with crisis, bout on bout on bout. My colleagues were arguing, like it was terrible. Sometimes I don't even know. I wake up and I'm in the hospital. Like it was that bad. because it always starts with me with dehydration. I didn't like drinking water.
Okay.
So dehydration was my biggest fight that I had to like overcome. Sickle cell. Then I finished secondary school. I've moved from Cape Coast, so Interbetten has my information. I've come to Accra. My parents have moved to a new place, so we are attending a new hospital. They have my things on file. Then I'm having lots of tummy problems. Guess what? I don't remember ever doing a test, but they said I had typhoid. So my mom was worried.
The hospital.
Like, how come you're getting typhoid over typhoid? So like, she kept wondering, even if you brought typhoid from secondary school, at least after 6 months in my house and treating typhoid, you should be better. And this is not to say getting rid of typhoid is tough. You have to be taking your medicine continuously before. So someone might say, maybe we're not taking your medicine. Guess what? One day we just said, nah, we're not going to this hospital, we're going to a different hospital. I did not have typhoid. I was taking typhoid medicine at that time. When they did the blood test and they did the stool culture, RE and everything, I didn't have typhoid. I actually had ulcer. When they do the examination with my tummy, the way I wince and everything, the doctor was like, you probably have this for long. And I was like, no, I've never been diagnosed of ulcer. She was like, well, they referred me to Coco Clinic in Kaneshi. When they did the test, they're like, you have ulcer. But because it has gone undiagnosed for a while, we need to further do a test to make sure what type of ulcer are we dealing with. I had to go to endoscopy.
Wow. You know, I think you pass as a medical doctor because your experiences is forcing you to learn.
You tend to read a lot. That's what I'm saying. It can't be on the patient alone, because at that point I trusted the doctors to know what they were doing and treating me. So now when I started doing, and I became worried because apparently people said it's invasive and it's not good, it can puncture your. I was really scared, like extremely scared.
Wow.
About like, and especially with my condition of sickle cell, the risks are high because if it's not done well, infection, that's it.
This is crazy.
So we go through endoscopy and then we start the process gradually. When I came to a different hospital, which I've been with for a while, they were like, well, endoscopy was quite too invasive for your age and for your condition. But we can thank God that at least you did that 4 years ago and we've not seen any retrogression. So it means nothing went wrong. But it could have easily gone wrong. You could have easily picked an infection from that point. Wow. And it would have been worse. So yes, in Ghana, if you do not ask questions, Ghana will happen to you.
Damn.
So, and I used to be those times when I go to the hospital, I don't talk. Like the first time I'll tell you, when you're talking, I'm like, well, I have to tell you I have sickle cell. I have this. I felt sometimes like when I'm telling the doctor that I'm trying to tell, like, give out too much, like, I saw you're yare for, so you're hiding that you don't want to come out as that person. Actually, you should have a paper, print out everything. When you get to the doctor, read it out. For the doctor, because if you don't, they will give you, and even that sometimes I still tell them I have ulcer and I'm still giving brufen.
Wow.
And brufen is worsening the ulcer. So yes, when how do you call it, I listened to the Kennedy Japan story about his child, about second opinion. I was like, definitely second opinion, because imagine I stayed with that first hospital for like all my life. Who knows? Or I had not changed. So as I've changed to a third hospital, this third hospital seemed to have treated me better, so I'm stuck there. But if I get the opportunity to get another opinion, and I don't joke with it, I always do. And my doctor friends know that me, when I go and tell me something, I'm already in your inbox asking you questions. Like, and then Google is my best friend. Google sometimes can scare you, my people. Sometimes Google, if you go and type headache with this, then after they'll put a disclaimer, but go and visit your physician. Yes, but you need to read about it. And when you're going to give you a medicine and you're not like doing okay, please go and change it. When I gave birth, I didn't have how do you call it, blood pressure. Yes, there's a history of blood pressure in my family, but when during my pregnancy I was totally okay. My blood pressure was not anything alarming for the doctors to be worried. So people get pre-eclampsia when you have your blood pressure starts spiking before you give birth. They call it pre-eclampsia. I got post. I finished, and then I think literally after my cesarean, almost 24 hours I was out. 12 hours. I was out for 12 hours. I didn't see my daughter for 12 hours. Wow. I don't know what happened, but I was shivering. They had to wrap me in that blanket thing, that warm blanket. They had to wrap me twice.
Wow.
And put machines on me. Before, when I woke up, my daughter, she had taken milk like twice. They had given her formula like twice already. Yes, but and then now have to put on how do you call it, a blood pressure medicine. After review, they realize, okay, and they need to control this, and they gave me Nificat. By goodness, I take the medicine and I'm dying. I can't do anything. My head is aching. I'm like, I wake up in the morning, I'm perfect, and I take the medicine and I'm like, it just stopped. Just went and said, if this is the only medicine you have, then I'll stop taking. I will manage the blood pressure myself. They said no, so they changed it for me.
Wow.
So you have to, when you get the medicine, ask questions, whatever, and afterwards, when you get the medicine, you are not feeling okay, go back. You've paid them. Even if it was national health insurance that you took to the hospital, Master, people are paying on your behalf.
Right.
He's reading medical negligence and
Mr. Koda, what other stories do you have? It's crazy. So it's crazy. This is crazy.
No, this is another one. This one, the one. So a 48-year-old Solomon Asari Kuma is the one who died due to negligence, right? So let me see if I can give you the preamble. So yes, the brother is sued. This is 2021. Sued a 37 military hospital for 2 million.
I'm sure if there is any insurance company that has been very busy, it will be that of 37 and rich.
Doesn't get.
They do. I'm sure they do, but anyway. So
already Kolebu people, like when they say, if you don't take me to Kolebu, Kolebu has been tagged like that already. So
that's where you go and
die. Yeah.
So 48-year-old Solomon Asari Kuma's oxygen tube was inserted wrongly at the 37 military hospital in Accra. It went under his skin so that the oxygen gas went through his body tissues instead of the respiratory system. The air was flowing into his body all right, but where it was going was all wrong. No air for lungs, his body bloated. No air for his heart, he bloated. And with no one at the ICU to attend to him, he extremely bloated. Air starved, his heart gave up, and then cardiac arrest. When Solomon was gone after midnight on October 21st, so it's 2019.
That's when the thing happened.
My father was gone. So this is the background story. On June 28, 2021, some 21 months after the tragedy, so Solomon Asari, who is brother of Emmanuel Asari, took the hospital to court. He has joined the 37 military hospital, which employs the consultant who did the surgery, the chief of defense staff of the Ghana Armed Forces, because
he's 37,
as well as the attorney general, which defends the state's institution in court. He was represented by a popular lawyer, Martin Pig. He has sued for negligently causing his brother's death, for breach of contract, and alleged deceitful tactic employed by the surgeon to collect more than 40,000 from the desperate family. Okay, so let me go straight to
judgments.
Oh, not the judgment. Okay. So the fourth estate, which is Manasseh Azuri's, they are the ones writing on this, obtained a copy of the writ from the Accra High Court, and it chronicles the trauma. Right now, it says that the deceased, had been referred to 37 from CNG Hospital in Sakumono Estate, Accra, and he came in subconscious. He had a mass on his brain, which required surgery. He could not speak or open his eyes, and his upper limb was immobile. Inside the emergency and trauma unit of the hospital, Solomon Asari Kuma needed surgery urgently, and the consultant surgeon assigned to the case asked for 40,000 to take care of the surgery, medications, and keeping a nurse in the ward. Now, the doctor explained to Dorothy, that's the sister of the deceased, that a deposit of 25,000 was required. Within 3 days, the part payment was ready, and family on Sunday went to the hospital to seek directions on how to effect the payment. But none of the nurses was willing to provide information on how they would do the payment, and only asked them to speak to the surgeon. Now, they were eventually directed to wait in the surgeon's office.
But these, hold on, so sorry, these payments and all, are they not administrative?
Well, they said
I'm sure it was
a
consultant surgeon. Yeah, so maybe. So when the consultant surgeon emerged, he asked that the monies be paid personally to him, a demand which sidestepped hospital rules. So according to the fourth estate, that was not the due process, as monies for medical services are not paid directly to caregivers. But the plaintiff says they trusted the surgeon, explaining they had no cause to doubt a senior military officer, a medical doctor of his rank. According to the court documents, 4 dates for the surgery were set by the doctor and postponed. So 4 times the date was postponed.
Wow.
With various explanations, from Monday 2nd to September. Monday 2nd, okay, to September 16th, to 2nd to 16th.
Okay, 42 weeks.
Yeah. So on the 2nd, this is what happened. The doctor explained that some tools and items needed for the surgery were yet to arrive in the country, and showed the sister
resource
a text message to confirm the delay in procuring the materials. One of these items was surgical glue. That one too has to come. Now, but the family, too desperate to entertain delays, ordered the surgical glue from the US themselves. So the family did that through a Catholic priest who is a friend, and blah 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 blah. So they sent the glue to the hospital the same day. The rescheduled date by the surgery was some 2 days away, which was September 9th. Now September 9th comes.
Another excuse.
Inside the theater, Solomon had been given the anesthesia to numb the pain associated with the surgery. The family was hopeful that finally the surgery was to proceed, but moments later the medical team emerged to explain that a drill that was needed for the operation had malfunctioned. So the consultant surgeon said a new drill was to come from South Africa.
Jesus.
The surgery was abruptly postponed again to September 13. September 13 comes. The consultant surgeon reported that.
So even and at all these times,
this is the time where the family will become desperate, helter skelter.
September 13, the consultant surgeon reported that he had the flu. So the drill from South Africa was even yet to arrive. So it hasn't come. He himself, he has the flu. So he explained to the family, and so the surgery was once again postponed. September 16, family members paced anxiously in the front of the theater as Solomon was wheeled. But at about 3 p.m., a doctor would come out of the operating room and explain that while in the middle of the surgery, the drill malfunctioned again.
Which kind of drill did this one?
Solomon's skull had been split open.
Jesus.
And the doctor said they had to perform an open and close procedure. The surgery was postponed, much to the family's disappointment. According to the plaintiff, a source of the hospital later revealed that the drill was not from South Africa. It was from Kolebu Teaching Hospital, an hour's drive away on a hot afternoon. A day after the last postponement, there was some disconcerting news. Dorothy had detected that his brother Solomon's left leg was swollen and drew the attention of the nurse. In September 2019, the surgeon ordered a Doppler effect, which is used to diagnose conditions that affect blood flow. The diagnosis disturbingly showed blood clots in both legs, with the left one in the deep vein. The family noted that their relative did not have this condition before he was admitted. There was a Doppler test to prove this, and so the fresh alarm described by the specialist at the diagnostic center as dangerous as a result of the lack of proper medical care for Solomon. Now, the family was advised to act very fast, and the very next day, after the Doppler test result, Thursday, September 19, Solomon was rushed to the National Cardiothoracic Center at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital for an IVC filter procedure. It was to cost $5,500. The consultant surgeon under whose care Solomon had developed the blood clots also charged $10,000, explaining his services were of an Indian standard. Hey. So the surgeon from the 37, no,
can you imagine?
the surgeon from 37 deducted the cost of the ward fees, tissues, tissue glue, and other expenses from the 25,000 deposits they did, because the surgery didn't happen there. Now the outstanding bill was $4,000, and at the prevailing exchange rate of 5.61 per dollar.
Hey, there was a time in Ghana where it was 5.61.
Wow. And that was in
The family now
2019.
owed the doctor more than what he even initially charged for the surgery that he didn't do. Now they owe him 22,400 Ghana cedis. With that agreement, the bedridden, subconscious Solomon was sent to Kolebu for IVC filter procedure on 25th September. Once the procedure was completed, the patient was sent back to 37 Hospital for the main surgery on his brain, 3 days away, which was 3 days away, which is 30th. Now the day of the surgery. 3 days before the surgery, the consultant surgeon asked for $2,000 from Dorothy, but the sister of the patient pleaded that he should go ahead with the surgery and that they will sort it out later. The operation lasted for 12 hours. It was successful. The family was told, and Solomon was sent to the ICU to recover, and the family, as promised, paid the $2,000 to the surgeon. Twice during the recovery, Solomon on life support equipment was sent to for CT scans at Sunshine Laboratory. At a period of 11 days, the hospital's pharmacy. So 11 days after the surgery, the hospital's pharmacy expressed concern about the volumes of medicine and drugs administered to. So the adjoining services providers who don't stop talking. They are always
they want their share.
They are talking. Oh, why is it taking so much medicine?
If that doesn't happen in the medical system, you die.
Yeah. For example,
it just takes
4 bottles of cough medicine were administered to Solomon in 1 week. 4 bottles.
But wait, he was on life support. So how?
I don't know. The pharmacy on October 14 refused to dispense any more cough medicine, rejecting the doctor's explanation that the mixture was administered through a feeding bottle and which sometimes spilled, for which more of it was required. Eventually, on October 14, a number of tests to ascertain the blood clot profile showed a possible overdose because of high levels of protamine in Solomon's system. The hospital, at the instructions of the consultant surgeon, administered a prescription of IV protamine sulfate 50 milligram to reverse the overdose. Emmanuel said he visited the ICU on October 20, but he noticed a lot of shuffling and movement among the medical team. He grew anxious and feared a fresh misfortune, but an ENT surgeon assured him his brother was fine, only that he required an X-ray to check his chest region, if his chest region was clear. 2 doctors identified as, I won't mention their name, would later usher him into a meeting to explain the state of his brother's health. They said they had performed a tracheostomy, a medical procedure that involves creating an opening in the neck in order to place a tube into a person's windpipe. The tube is inserted through a cut in the neck below the vocal. This allows air to enter the lungs. They said later the tracheal tube was removed to clear some blockage, but while reinserting the tube, it went under his skin instead of his throat. The 2 doctors said he should prepare for what he was about to see because the sight of Solomon was likely to scare him. It did, and Solomon said he was devastated. It was obvious that the level of bloating that occurred was purely attributable to the lack of due care, both in the process of reinserting the tube or the neglect of Solomon for an unreasonable long time without any monitoring.
Someone must be held accountable.
These
stories are
I don't think at this point the judgment
had not come yet. It was just the court minutes.
Challenge goes on. frustrating at 37. Look,
What time did he die after that?
he died after that.
You see the amount of money they spend.
Yeah. And there are lots of these stories. See, people don't tell these stories. People don't even get these information. Like,
That's what I'm
you know,
saying.
the stories around how loved ones die and all of that. Oh, we went this, and then there was something bizarre. Then Charlie, the next day I just went, and then that's all they hear.
Yeah.
But this was, I think, because they are educated and they followed the process.
Aside that,
able to.
aside that, you could see that somebody was on the ground. So that to get information in the hospital on the ground, not the doctors, the nurses.
Yeah, the nurses.
Most of the time, the nurses will let you know if they are happy with what is happening or not, because the doctors, the nurses really don't have a say. The doctors don't let them have a say unless the
some of us want to stay in Ghana. Is it because we believe in Ghana?
No.
But Charlie, you
just uprooting and
too
living
many
somewhere else.
problems. You see, it's like something so flimsy and negligible can simply kill you in this country. If not yourself, your family members or
loved ones.
We have major problems. Go to Kolebu. Hey, when some places in Kolebu, you even wonder if it's a
but so you know how they say that in Ghana, if you don't have money, you might die. Like when something happens to you. Actually, when it comes to health, money doesn't matter because we don't have the facility and resource in our house.
You go to the hospital you go to, right? There are so many things that happen in that hospital that will never happen in a public hospital.
Yes, but in that same sense, a hospital, how many hospitals in Ghana are equipped to do? Because when I go to something like this happens, they'll definitely refer you to 37 or Kolebu, and 37 and Kolebu and Rage are not resourced properly.
Getting a bed, you have to.
Right now, the only hospital that I would say is properly resourced is UGMC, but they don't have how do you call it, like unlimited rooms. They have limits to who they can take. They have limits to the special. Don't forget the specialists. The number of specialists we have in this country, they are minimal. The specialist working in Kolebu is the same one who comes to work in UGMC. UGMC probably have 1 or 2 or 3 permanently, but some of the cases they need a whole lot of people to consult. So yes, the resources, we are under resourced.
Yes, exactly. That's where we're going to.
Half of the problem lays on our shoulders as citizens.
Okay.
All we do is read these stories. Hey, it's bad. Nobody even petition. Nobody out of this story. Will put a class act, not even a class action, like a petition that puts signatures and things around
and cause a legislation.
You know, a proper long-standing push for things to change. All we do is listen, throw our arms up, our hands up in despair, and we move on.
Please
and these problems continue.
These problems
continue, and it sits on the doorsteps of leadership. I can't build a hospital for me and my family. What I can do is maybe get a proper health insurance or get some money and make sure, but that won't solve the problem. If we don't start calling what haven't we said about Kolebu? When they have a headache, they fly out. I was talking to a politician the last time that someone we know only flies out of, and he's a very rich man, rich businessman. He only flies out of Ghana for holidays. Everything he does is in Ghana. He was like, oh really? Oh, even medical attention coming from the politician.
So rich.
Wow.
Even medical, he doesn't even go out for medical attention. No, he goes to rich.
We are doomed.
And then, so you know that
the person who is supposed to be getting you a very good hospital is not surprised.
A rich man
who gets medical attention here.
The politician goes out, flies his family out.
People you say you have
I know it's yes, like bear with us. We know the conversation has been longer than usual, but the amount of medical negligence is huge. Like the stories is huge. I keep saying they are extremely under-resourced, and they don't, like, there are no systems, because if there are systems, once you enter the hospital, that's one thing I like about UGMC. Even though it's a government hospital, it's a bit different from the other ones. When you enter UGMC and your system is on the record and you pay the deposit, they are billed as and when you are going on. You are not called to bring $5,000, $7,000, because you have done a deposit to secure what is about to happen. So afterwards, then we can deal with the cost. Because imagine your relative going through that, and then you are not running helter-skelter for 500. So if you do not have the money, then at that point, by the time whatever happens to your relative ends, you've also picked up something. Our blood pressure, you get BP, you get stress-related disease. Why? Comes down to leadership. We cannot stop it.
Someone suing Yahoo Clinic for Yahoo Medical Center for negligence.
That for that one, there's plenty. So I really think the private medical system is changing. That's one thing I like.
Okay.
So if you are listening, if you're either Japan or you're working hard that you can afford the private medical system, they also need to make sure that you end up in 37. No, so now how they call this?
The road to
we have. So we've said a lot, right? But there's some few things I picked from Johns Hopkins Medicine when I went to research on this condition. They said that tips to help you get the most from a visit to a healthcare provider. Know the reason for your visits and what you want to happen. Are you going for a diagnosis? Are you going for a solution? Do you get to know? Before you visit, write down questions you want answered. Bring someone to help you. That's another thing. Go with somebody so that the person, and don't go with someone who's just going to sit down and just someone who asks other questions. So what does this mean? Or what does taking this medicine mean? When do we have to come for review? They said ask if your condition can be treated in other ways. That is a second opinion from that first doctor. So when they tell you, okay, you have like the Canadian, when they say his son has rolling heart, he says no, my son was born in the US. They would have noticed this. I want a second opinion. When he got a second opinion, they said whatever they are seeing, it will close on its own. There's no need for him to be cut open.
Wow.
So the medical negligence I talked about the doctor who has been roaming, that particular condition, it was also a heart. Remember when they said they needed to do, no, it was a brain. They needed to do surgery. The second opinion came and was like, no, it is benign. There's no need to touch the tumor. It wouldn't damage anything. But by the time the second opinion, she didn't wait for her second opinion. So she went for a third opinion. The third opinion was an over-exuberant doctor who wants to make a name. Who wants to make a name and cut and killed the boy. So yes, please always find out if there are other ways to solve your issues. And they said if you know what to expect, if you do not take the medicine or have the test or procedure. So example, they tell you that you need to do this test. You know you don't have the money, so ask the doctor. So if I'm able to do the test in 7 days or 14 days and I do it 28 days, what does it mean for my condition? Maybe he will tell you, okay, if you do it 28 days, then don't do the test I'm requesting now. That's another thing we waste money on. So they give you a test. There's probably a test they ask you to do today. You can't afford it. You won't do it 2 months later. They don't need that test anymore. They probably will need a different one. So the point is, do not just sit down and listen to the doctor narrate everything and say okay and get out. Ask questions, find out what else you can do to help your condition, and keep a chart, please. If you have a genetic condition or you've ever been told that you have something, never feel shy to throw it out there when you enter the doctor. Once you are awake, the only time you don't mention it is if it is an emergency case and you're unconscious. If you are awake, even when they are about to admit you, try as much as possible to have that. Or keep a book. Just say, please have my medical book.
Thank you so much, C, for that education. Here at Sauce and Pepper, we just don't entertain you, but educate you and inform you. Recommend this channel to your friend. Like, share, and subscribe right here. This has been Sauce and Pepper. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for staying with us.